India has been the largest troop contributor to the UN mission since its inception. So far, India has taken part in as many as 43 peacekeeping missions. But what does it take for the Indian Army personnel to serve in a foreign land? WION is the only channel covering the Indian peacekeeping troops in the Democratic Republic of Congo. WION's Karthikeya Sharma is in Ground Zero, Congo, getting you the most in-depth coverage of the UN mission. Karthikeya spoke to the head of the Indian peacekeeping mission in Congo on the challenges they face. Take a listen in to that exclusive conversation.
I'm joined in by Brigadier Vivek Tyagi, the man who is in charge of olives in Blue Cap. And yes, perhaps his area exceeds that of combined area of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. That's what he looks after in Congo. So how and in what way the challenges for the UN peacekeeping mission in Congo has evolved, and what has been the contribution of the Indian military?
First of all, Karthikeya, it's good to have your team amongst the Indian peacekeepers out here in the heart of Africa, thousands of miles away from India. Coming to your question about the challenges, challenges are in multiple domains. If you see today, the nature of conflicts has changed. It's very difficult to have consent of all parties to the conflict for peacekeeping missions. They have moved from peacekeeping to peace enforcement, robust peacekeeping. The UN itself is undergoing a lot of changes. Budgets are getting cut, resources are becoming minimal. One has to achieve more and more, cover larger areas of the country with lesser troops. And when you come within Congo per se and mission, the complexities have increased. The regime has its own interests. There are a large number of neighboring countries which have vested interests. Illegal armed groups have grown more than 70. Resources are such in Congo that there are a lot of parties which have their hands into it. And then, of course, is the dynamics of elections which were to be held, and therefore all sort of political engineering. So you see the challenges. And there is one more important I would like to add. And the challenge for a man in uniform to maintain that correct balance while pursuing his mandate, that he remains in connect with the population. He has to support the regime as part of the security sector reforms, and therefore can't be seen too aligned with any of the parties.
But how has the challenges increased for the Indian Army? Of late, there have been attacks in Congo. The environment has vitiated because of a lot of cross-border activities, and the fact that the place has no roads virtually beyond the little cities.
See, of course, the infrastructure part, you will very well understand that all the regimes over the decades would have had certain element of intent. You know, if you wanted to keep the country divided, if you didn't want the East to be connected to the West, so that they could have a spirit of nationalism in them. So, of course, that is a larger issue. But as you were talking about how the complexities have increased, I just covered to you. One, the resource interests remain. Two, political engineering is gaining momentum because they're a part of the regime which doesn't want elections. There is the opposition parties who want to create instability and discredit the government. And then, of course, is the engineering of the armed groups. And when the engineering of the armed groups by these different vested interests happens, MONUSCO being one major player here in terms of we are here to establish peace and security, but that is not meeting the interest of many. And then, therefore, they would like to discredit us. They would like to target the blue helmets and thereby destabilize, thereby offset the efforts which are endeavoring towards lasting peace and stability.
That's just a sample of the many challenges involved while the Indian peacekeeping mission continues to fight against all those hurdles. But WION's Karthikeya Sharma also spoke to the women officers deployed in the far-flung areas as military observers. The theme is women's contribution to UN peacekeeping mission. Take a listen in.
I'm in Goma, and Goma is in Congo. And it's an area in which Indian forces have played a crucial role, if not crucial, and a very important role as part of the UN peacekeeping mission. And a lot of military observers are deployed here. They are men and women, but the lady officers who are here with me are military observers that are deployed in far-flung areas without weapons to create some sort of an integration area stabilization, so that there is some modicum of normalcy or a sense of ordinariness in daily life. And the growing presence of lady officers in this role also represent the way the society sees women in context of combat, and the way even our own institutions are changing over a period of time, and the way they have changed over a period of time. Now, starting from you, Aditi, does it make a difference to be a woman officer as a military observer staying in a far-flung area? Is it experientially different? Does society sees you differently? Or is it's a different set of challenge for a woman to be a military observer and staying with other women of different nationalities?
All right, coming to your question of challenges, as far as the challenges are concerned, for women officers, we face the similar challenges as our male counterparts. So there is nothing like, something which I would really like to highlight upon that that is worth commenting that, okay, this particular field is like really challenging for women. Nothing like that. As far as the experiences goes, definitely it's the most enriching experience, one of the most enriching experience of my military career so far.
You tell me, what prompted you to pick up this role? Because of you come from a particular branch of military, or you thought it's exciting enough to be here?
Yes, actually, I would, if I were to choose among the options that you put forward in front of me, and yes, of course, firstly because it is a matter of great pride to actually wear the uniform, wear the national flag on your chest, and represent the country in an international environment. So yes, secondly, of course, the job of a Milob. We knew what the job entails, and yes, some part of it I was doing back home as well.
But Akasha, what does the job entail in one sentence?
It entails actually implementing the mandate, yes. And in Milob gives you actually a lot of freedom to perform the task in whatever way that you think, in your ingenuous way, and in a way that you think is the best and the best suited to your area of responsibilities that you are deployed in.
But you know how I really want to ask. I will come to you because you're working in hospital. Is it really a challenge to work with people in terms of different nationalities? Because there is one thing to work with the other person, but it is one thing to work with the other person and stay together. Does that make a difference?
It actually doesn't make a difference. Yes, initially when we are new to the new culture, yes, we face a little bit of problems. But then you come to know about the people, how they are working, how they are behaving. So you go out every day with them, out patrolling. So you develop that rapport, then you start adjusting. You come to know about the people, how they are working. So it's quite interesting to work, and I think you perform well then.
Thank you all of you for making time for us, for WION. But the fact of the matter, and the point of the debate which I really wanted to focus was that maybe India has not gone the Israel's way. Maybe there is no debate in India when it comes to combat and women the way it has taken place in the United States of America. But the fact of the matter is that there is a contribution of women in our army when it comes to peacekeeping, and these lady officers are a shining example of that contribution. With camera person Manish Srivastav, Kartikeya Sharma from Goma for WION.
And while the Congo conflict dates back to the 60s, a recent study has revealed that thousands are forced to flee their homes over rising violence in the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. According to the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, almost 7,000 people have crossed to neighboring Burundi and 1,200 into Tanzania in the past week alone. The reasons are clear. Refugees say they are fleeing forced recruitment, direct violence, and other abuses by armed outfits. Earlier this week, the World Food Programme described alarming food insecurity in the country. The situation is sparked by an extension of the conflict into areas which were previously considered stable. The conflict in Congo is also termed to be at breaking point amid a massive escalation of the inter-ethnic conflict and widespread insecurity. Over the past 6 months, a number of people coping with extreme hunger, and the number has now risen to 2 million. The number has also reached 7.7 million, which is about 10% of the population. Agencies say more than 4 million children under the age of 5 are at the risk of acute malnutrition. Other factors that have led to the situation are deadly floods and an outbreak of cholera. Unrest in Burundi in December last year sparked fear of wider crisis in Africa's volatile Great Lakes region. This was fueled by ethnic tensions in neighboring Rwanda, which is already grappling with the 1994 genocide. Here's more in this special report.
Just 28,000 square kilometres, Burundi is one of the smallest countries in Africa. But the crisis unleashed by the controversial re-election of President Pierre Nkurunziza in 2015 threatens the stability of the entire Great Lakes region. Burundi's neighbours are Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania and Uganda in the north, 5 countries with interconnected problems. Eastern DR Congo is at the heart of the region's instability, specifically North and South Kivu. At the end of the genocide of Tutsis in Rwanda 1994, there was an influx of refugees, mainly Rwandan Hutus, fearing reprisals into eastern DR Congo. The refugees found themselves in the middle of the 2 Congo wars, involving armies from DR Congo, Rwanda and Burundi, and from further afield, Angola, Zimbabwe and Chad. Complex regional alliances, a wealth of resources and the entrenchment of rebel groups from Rwanda, Uganda and Burundi in the Congolese mountains have made the presence of troops patrolling in the Kivu region a common sight. Countries such as Rwanda and Uganda have also been accused of fueling regional instability through their covert support of violent militias. Burundi is no stranger to conflict either, including the inter-ethnic massacres of 1972 and bloody civil war from 1993 to 2006, which led hundreds of thousands of people to flee, mainly to Tanzania. A decade later, violent clashes have sent another exodus of refugees to neighbouring countries, particularly Rwanda and Tanzania.
And WION's Karthik Sharma also explains to us the area domination exercise in Congo in this next report that he filed.
Well, what you are witnessing is an exercise being done by Indian Army, which works under the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Congo, is to dominate the area. The purpose of this exercise, the purpose of the armored vehicle, the purpose of the officers to go out in the village is to give a message to the local militia or those who try to disrupt law and order that they will be able to take hard and strong action in case someone tries to disrupt the law or someone tries to take the law in its own hand. Many people would say that why so much of heavy weapon? Because in past the peacekeeping mission has come under attack from a lot of militias, and for simple reason, because after the genocide which took place in Rwanda, a lot of people, a lot of Hutus had migrated to the parts of Congo. Now this has created a massive problem here, and because of tribal issues, loyalties and ethnicities, the conflict rages. And because of completely non-existent infrastructure, non-existent road, it is very difficult for people to go without protection to intervene in the villages. So in a way, what's happening in Congo is a story of curse of resources. This is a country which has got maximum coltan. Coltan is what we use in our mobile phones, the battery. But what happens in the end? They don't get the money because ultimately for the diamonds, for the coltan, for the uranium, for gold, the multinationals or the rich countries continue to keep Congo stable. So Congo, despite gaining independence, has suffered the imperial politics, the Cold War, and after the Cold War, it continues to be so unstable because of racial and ethnic tension. Now, what the United Nations peacekeeping mission and the Indians are trying to do, especially because they are part of one of the largest zones, and they are there to stabilize it, to ensure that there is an ordinariness, there is a civic life which is respected, and it is for this Indian security force do these exercises regularly to ensure that at least in big urban centers, civic life is not disturbed. And lastly, and respected for one simple reason, because there are no cases of atrocities against Indian military. Not only they run schools, engage in local programs, but they also ensure that the military domination exercise like this give a message to the lawbreakers and create some sort of courage in those who follow the law, that Indian military, as working part and parcel of the United Nations peacekeeping force, is for them, for their help. With camera person Manish Srivastav, Karthik Sharma from Goma, from Congo.
In the dense jungles of the Congo, where peace is in short supply, WION's Kartikeya Sharma joins the Indian Army's peacekeeping mission.
The Indian military, as working part and parcel of the United Nations peacekeeping force.
From tasting the local food to a day in the life of our men in Congo. Join WION as we track the Indian Army on its UN mission.
WION has been given access to cover the exemplary role played by Indian military as part of the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Congo.
Blue helmets in Congo. WION ground report only on WION World is One News.